In 1703, President Thomas Jefferson made a bold gamble that doubled the size of the young United States. For $15 million, he purchased the Louisiana Territory from France, a vast, unexplored wilderness stretching from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains. But owning the land was one thing. Understanding it was another. What lay beyond the horizon? Were there navigable rivers that could connect the Atlantic to the Pacific? Who lived in these lands and what challenges awaited? To answer these questions, Jefferson turned to two men: Meriwether Lewis, his private secretary and a skilled soldier, and William Clark, a seasoned frontiersman. Together, they would lead what became known as the Corps of Discovery. Their mission: to map the territory, establish relations with native nations, record plants and animals unknown to science, and, above all, prove that America could dream as boldly as any empire on Earth. The journey ahead would be dangerous, uncertain, and unlike anything the world had ever seen. This is their story. When Thomas Jefferson became president, he dreamed of a United States that stretched from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Pacific. But in 1803, a remarkable opportunity appeared. France, desperate for money to fund its wars in Europe, agreed to sell a vast territory, the Louisiana Territory. Overnight, America doubled in size. This land was largely unknown to Europeans. Its rivers, mountains, and native nations remained a mystery. Jefferson wanted answers. What resources were hidden there? Could a water route connect the Atlantic to the Pacific? To solve this mystery, he turned to his personal secretary, Meriwether Lewis. Young, intelligent, and fearless, Lewis would lead the expedition. Jefferson instructed him not only to map the land, but also to record plants, animals, and to establish peaceful relations with native tribes. This mission was more than exploration. It was a gamble to secure America's future. And Jefferson placed it in the hands of Lewis, who would soon invite his old friend William Clark to join him. The Corps of Discovery set out in the spring of 1804, following the winding Missouri River into the unknown. From the very first day, the expedition faced harsh conditions, unpredictable currents, thick forests, and treacherous sandbars that threatened to capsize their boats. Interactions with native tribes were both crucial and delicate. Some communities welcomed them with gifts and guidance, while others watched with caution. Every encounter required diplomacy, patience, and respect for both safety and survival. The men documented every detail. Plants, animals, and landscapes were carefully recorded. Rivers were measured and mapped. Night skies were noted for orientation. Each day was a lesson in endurance, teamwork, and discovery. As the Corps pushed deeper into lands no American had ever traversed. By summer, they were far from home, reliant on each other and the goodwill of those they met along the way. The wilderness tested them in every way imaginable, but also revealed the astonishing diversity and richness of the American frontier. In 1705, as the expedition pushed further west, a young Shoshone woman named Sacagawea joined the Corps of Discovery. She carried her infant son on her back, yet her presence was invaluable. Her knowledge of the terrain, edible plants, and native customs guided the explorers through regions that might have otherwise proven deadly. Sacagawea also served as a powerful symbol of peace. Her presence reassured tribes they were not a war party, allowing for safer interactions and the exchange of vital information. She mediated disputes, interpreted languages, and even helped negotiate the purchase of horses from the Shoshone, which were essential for crossing the Rocky Mountains. Without Sacagawea, the expedition's journey would have been far riskier. Her courage, intelligence, and resilience transformed her into one of the most important figures of the Lewis and Clark expedition, and an enduring icon in American history. The Rockies were the expedition's greatest challenge. Steep cliffs, freezing temperatures, and unpredictable snowstorms tested every member of the Corps of Discovery. Supplies ran low, and the men were forced to ration carefully, relying on game they could hunt and edible plants they had recorded earlier. The Shoshone became critical allies. Their guidance, horses, and knowledge of mountain passes allowed Lewis, Clark, and the Corps to traverse what otherwise would have been impassable terrain. Every day was a battle against exhaustion, altitude, and the rugged wilderness. Despite the dangers, the expedition persevered. The men's determination, combined with Sacagawea's guidance and the Shoshone's assistance, enabled them to cross the mountains intact. This passage would open the way to the Pacific and cement the expedition as one of the most remarkable feats of exploration in history. After months of grueling travel, the Corps of Discovery finally reached the Pacific Ocean in November 1805. Standing on the shores of the Columbia River, the men marveled at the vast expanse of water stretching to the horizon, a tangible symbol of their achievement. The journey had tested every member: extreme weather, treacherous terrain, and long periods of uncertainty. Yet, through meticulous planning, courage, and the guidance of native allies, they had mapped thousands of miles of previously uncharted territory. Flags were raised, journals were updated, and a sense of pride filled the Corps. This was not just a personal triumph. It was a monumental step in expanding the knowledge of the American continent. The Pacific marked the culmination of one of the greatest exploratory achievements in history, laying the groundwork for the nation's westward expansion. With the Pacific behind them, the Corps of Discovery began the long journey home in March 1806. Every member faced new challenges: frozen rivers, treacherous rapids, and the constant need to find food and safe shelter. Yet morale was high, fueled by the knowledge of what they had accomplished. They retraced their route, revisiting native tribes who had helped them and exchanging gifts and gratitude. Scientific observations continued, as the men documented plants, animals, and geographical features that were still unknown to Europeans. By September, the Corps returned to St. Louis. Exhausted but triumphant, they brought with them detailed maps, journals, and specimens that would forever change the world's understanding of North America. The expedition had proven that determination, careful planning, and collaboration could overcome the most formidable wilderness. The Corps of Discovery returned as heroes, their expedition forever changing the understanding of the American West. Detailed maps, plant and animal specimens, and journals provided knowledge that shaped science, geography, and exploration. The expedition demonstrated the value of careful planning, diplomacy with native tribes, and collaboration in extreme conditions. Sacagawea, Lewis, Clark, and every member left a legacy of courage and curiosity that inspired generations of explorers. Their journey paved the way for westward expansion, trade, and settlement, while also showing the complexity of America's frontier, a land of beauty, danger, and incredible opportunity. The untold stories of perseverance, ingenuity, and cooperation continue to resonate, reminding us that exploration is not just about reaching new lands, but about understanding and respecting the world we encounter. The journey of Lewis and Clark was more than a map across the wilderness. It was the story of vision, sacrifice, and discovery. They braved storms, hunger, mountains, and rivers. Yet, through determination and the help of indigenous allies like Sacagawea, they carried the young nation's dream westward. What they achieved wasn't just exploration. It was the beginning of America's expansion into the frontier, shaping the destiny of a nation. The mystery, the danger, the triumph. This is why their story endures. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Historical Wave for more untold stories that shaped America.